everybody, Tony D with a final hot take of the evening. Sorry I got so late. Got on the phone. A lot of people calling me. It's Friday. That's my Friday night. So exciting on the phone. That's what I do. I make videos, I make comics, I talk on the phone. I live an exciting life. So the final day of the DNC, or final night of the DNC, it was just more boring stuff. Julia Louis-Dreyfus hosting, okay. She's a pretty big celebrity. She's been in great shows. But, the problem with the left and comedy now, it used to be that the left were cool. And so them doing comedy was often outrageous, and that made their comedy even better. It made everything better because they were so cool. That was back in the 70s when there were still, stuffy religious people to go, oh, you kids with your disco dancing and your long hair and your loud music, we're getting it. And you should do traditional things. And they'd be like, ha ha, we're cool. Now that's, we're way past that. There aren't a lot of religious people anymore. They're certainly not doing that kind of stuff. Even the religious people are at least at the point where they're accepting of most, normal behavior. They're normal people. A lot of stuff's been normalized. It's left people in the progressive movement and the progressive area of life pushing the envelope for no reason. Pushing things further and further left for no reason. There's no end game. I just did this thing on the Cuties poster. That's, to me, an example of Hollywood continuing to push the boundaries that nobody asked them to push anymore. It was different in the 70s when you had a woman, act in a way that was more modern, like that was something, because that was the 70s. And most women live traditional lives. And to see women do, something different on the screen, that was more of a risk. It's not a risk anymore. It's boring. It's the status quo. Now it would be a risk to do the complete opposite. to show a woman who was only a wife, only a housewife, didn't work at all, and was totally into it. Like that would actually cause some eyebrows to be raised. Not in the Midwest or in the middle of the country, but on the coast of the country, where people are now the establishment. But they don't see themselves as the establishment, so they get very upset and angry. These are the people who now are the problem. These are the people who are now anti-science. And they have adopted their own version of a religion. It's sort of this woke religion. If you're not a part of it, whoa, they wag their finger, just like the parents in Footloose wagged their fingers at the kids who were dancing. Oh, dancing, you're going to hell for that. Now it's like, oh, you didn't use the right pronoun, you're going to be canceled. It's the same thing. It's just different parameters. And Biden, he's trying to straddle that world. He's not really successful at it. It's not working out. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she's still stuck in kind of the era before all the cancel culture and wokeness came, right? So she's woke and she thinks that's cool, but it's not. It's just boring, all right? And she's making jokes about it, but those jokes really only resonate with her highfalutin friends in that ivory tower of Hollywood, and really no one else. And in her defense, she didn't write the comedy a lot of times. She was the main actress for the comedy, and Seinfeld and Veep, although I'm sure she's got a pretty good comedic sense, but she can only do so much at a DNC event. She it can't be funny enough to be comedy, and therefore it comes off as lame, which really doesn't contribute, and she can't, she's not political enough necessarily to really contribute in that way. And even like someone like Andrew Yang, he was just boring. Like, why is he there? He lost. It's just yet another liberal trotted out to go, oh, I love Joe Biden. We got to vote for him because, Trump. But, part of the sad part of the evening is when you got Barack Obama basically saying, well, democracy is in trouble unless we elect Joe Biden, or whatever he said, something along those lines. But then at the same time, you're trying to make jokes and you're playing music, kind of undermines your message, right? If you're in the resistance against Trump and he's that bad, why are you wasting time with music and comedy and trying to do a variety show? That's not what, if it's that important, get to the important stuff. Tell us what to do. Tell us how to overthrow the government because it's that bad. And if it is that bad, why aren't you immediately doing something? The answer is it's all just a show anyway. And it's a bad show because I'll tell you right now, Trump has a better sense of optics. Watch any of his State of the Union speeches. They're amazing. They're gripping. He knows how to take the audience on a journey. And he had many guest stars at his State of the Union address. And even though they tried to upstage him, the Democrats wore white suits that time. Nancy Pelosi ripped up his speech. It all backfired, and Trump looked amazing. And, the DNC just looks like they look. They look like Biden. They look old. They look outdated. They look tone deaf. Some of the motions were just going through the motions, and some of it were normal. A lot of it was stilted because of the internet version of it. But like I said this before, it was so stupid to show an empty room full of people social distancing. It was just dumb. Those people were delegates. Those people were the true blue of the Democratic Party. Are you telling me you can't get 200 of them together and say, okay, we're going to quarantine you for 2 weeks so you don't have to social distance and we can have a big crowd? I mean, you're telling me you couldn't get 200 people in a room to do that? Just pay them? It was so bad. Kamala Harris, now they're telling everybody to pronounce it that way. So she does her speech and gets off, and they have people on the screen clapping, and they had to reuse 3 of them in order to fill up the screen. What the hell are you doing? You didn't think the internet would figure that out? In a hot minute, they saw that. I saw that like literally after the speech was given, boom, somebody noticed it immediately. They noticed the first one, and then like 5 minutes later, they came back, oh wait, there's 2 more. So they reused 3 people on that screen with Kamala Harris, so the people clapping. I think was that the night before or that last night? I forget. But Joe Biden's speech was merely treading water. He didn't get anywhere. He can't. People were just relieved he didn't say something stupid. That's an incredibly low bar for a candidate. It's not a candidate that's going to inspire anybody. And it's looking more and more like the Democrats plan to lose, and they're just going to lose very, very badly. And they know that, so they're going to try to muddy the waters as much as possible. They're going to say Trump didn't really win. Well, here's a box of ballots that were never counted. It's not. I think it's probably not going to matter in most states. I think he's going to win by such a wide margin. A lot of people will just give up the ghost and not even count them. But, this, and it's quite possible that by September or mid-October, people will be so fed up with all the mask-wearing nonsense that they're just going to not listen and go to the polls anyway. Enough of them that nobody wants to do the mail ballot. Nobody trusts it. I wouldn't trust it. You're going to trust the U.S. Postal Service with your vote? It's pretty risky trust. I mean, if it was Amazon, I'd probably trust that. I mean, Amazon, those guys are amazing. They really are. So, maybe they're just building up to lose terribly and then make excuses for the next 4 years. And maybe they just want to cripple the country so badly that Trump basically tries the next 4 years to get us back to where we were. And then they could run on a platform in 2024 of, see, the Republicans really didn't do anything. They made all these promises and they didn't come through. Trump said, oh, we're going to get the economy back going. Look at where the economy is today. But right now, I don't think a lot of people are blaming Trump for the economy or even the virus response. Yeah, some people say, well, Trump kind of bungled the virus response. He was the first guy to cancel the flights to China, and everybody yelled at him for it. So pretty much everybody who yelled at Trump at that moment was out of the race for, I had the best response for the beer virus. And that pretty much includes everybody in the Democratic Party, especially Nancy Pelosi, who went to Chinatown and told everybody to come out because they were banking on the virus being either a total hoax or that it was going to be another bird flu thing. Then they could say, oh, Trump overreacted and he's racist for shutting down the flights and blah, blah, blah. How'd that work out? It didn't work out. So now they're screwed and they doubled down the other way, and now they're tripling down, at least a lot of their governors are, and all they're doing is hurting their own economies. But again, they don't really care about that. They'll all walk away rich and connected, and they don't think that some of these people really should be prosecuted. I think, some of these mayors really should be prosecuted, especially if anybody gets prosecuted, I hope it's de Blasio for corruption, for negligent homicide, maybe, for some of the people who died. It's bad. But I think it all ends in November. I think the election, no matter which way it goes, no matter what happens, it's over in November. And things will change at that moment. Because at that moment, the Democratic Party is going to get a resounding message and be forced to change their ways because they're going to lose the House. They're going to lose more of the Senate, and they're going to either marginalize themselves to the point where they're not going to be a factor, won't matter what they say, or they're going to say, oh my God, what have we done? And finally turn the boat around so they can get a little bit of traction. I actually think it's going to be a combination of the two. I think they're going to lose horribly, and they're going to still double down, hoping to snap it right back somehow, probably do another attempt at impeachment, but they won't even have enough votes to get it through the House. And then that's when their media will turn on them, and a lot of their former allies will see the writing on the wall. Well, the Democrats are pretty much out for this election cycle too, so we're going to just step away. But some will stick it out, and as they try to fight their way back from their very weak power base, they'll get hit again. Maybe by the end of Trump's 4 years, they'll finally start going, oh, hey, we stumbled upon this actual true blue liberal who's actually doing liberal things and is honest and supports things like, people's rights. Maybe they'll reinvent themselves and become pro-gun since that issue is pretty much dead for them. Something like that. And then they could rebuild the party. And then finally they could start winning again. And also, too, it might just be that the Republicans will have so many excesses leading up to that people will be sick of them and be anxious for anybody to come in. But you can't win elections without taking the middle. And the Democrats have pretty much abandoned that. So the DNC show was just bad. Just no good. Maybe take a cue from Donald Trump. Watch his State of the Unions. They're riveting. And I totally expect the RNC to be exactly the same way.